Welcome back to Hoop Slams. We're the show that knowingly records our conversations. My name is Marc Griffin, aka Montreal Marc. I'm joined by my partners in crime, Phil Boileau, Sporting Phil, and Justin Rowan, Cavs Canada. We're talking a whole bevy of basketball today. We're going to start with the Boston Celtics, who the other night pulled off what may be the most monumental win of the NBA regular season, beating the Golden State Warriors, their Oracle. Justin, how did they win against the juggernaut?
Well, luck was certainly a factor. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry both missed shots, but they did what a lot of teams have had success doing against them, including Boston earlier this season in Boston. They put Avery Bradley on Steph Curry and really made him work. And then on the defensive end of the floor, or at least when Steph Curry's on defense, they made him run through a lot of screens. They really made him exert a lot of energy on that end, which is something we also saw originally the Spurs do with Tony Parker. They would just put him through screen after screen after screen. They played good defense. The most surprising thing to come from that game, in my opinion, was the fact that Boston beat them playing their style. A lot of shots. It was a more up-and-down game. It wasn't the traditional kind of slow-down approach that we've seen work against the Warriors this season. So it was a little funny to see them win that route.
Phil, Golden State was without Iguodala and Ezeli, and also Boston was out without your man, Jae Crowder. Talk about Crowder for the guys. He's really off-the-radar gem in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about GMs of the year and, administration side, Jae Crowder is one of those guys that won't get enough hype. But, when we're talking about a league that's full of 3-and-D guys, and that's where the value added is, I mean, punch that in with his toughness, and I think he becomes kind of their version of Draymond Green in weird levels. He plays a little bit more wing, but I think he's an emotional leader on the defensive end, and his ability to understand his role on offense and spread the floor. I mean, that team doesn't have an ego, and I think that's the number one reason why they're able to be successful. I mean, when you look at other teams play against Golden State, when they fall behind, they have to go to this one or two guys, their stars. And I know they have Isaiah Thomas as their all-star, but it's a team that I think is made for. I mean, when we were looking before the trade deadline at a possible, Justin could elaborate on this better, but it was an Avery Bradley and someone for Kevin Love possibility idea. That whole Avery Bradley in the finals against Steph Curry was something I was really looking forward to. But it's a whole team of guys who are just good at their position. They can all play defense, and they could throw so many looks at you, and they're not reliant on one guy. Because I think Golden State is actually better than they get credit for, really shutting down your top one or two guys and making you look for that third, fourth option. And I think that plays to Boston's strength because it's a whole team of third, fourth options.
Right. Justin, is Avery Bradley first team all defense like they're trying to plug him as right now?
I don't know about that. You could certainly make a case for it. He is one of the better defenders at that position in the league. He's a unique player. He's a combo guard that can run some point if need be, which really does give Boston more versatility and other options. When it comes to defense, I don't know if he's first team all defense, but he's certainly someone that should get some considerations for all defensive team. He's just one of those players that stood out this season as someone that's bothered Curry the same way that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope did in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Phil, a name we haven't mentioned yet, Matt Stevens. I believe he's one of the elite guys coaching-wise in this league. We got to see him coach 2 years ago. What stands out to you about him?
Well, I mean, Brad Stevens, I mean, look at the roster. I mean, there are very few guys who, we're looking at the roster, we're talking about Coach of the Year, who I feel have maximized their players better than he has. I mean, we've got Terry Stotts, who got some guys from Portland, got from other teams, but look at where Isaiah Thomas was considered. Look how they've used him. Look how they've balanced that guard position between Avery Bradley and Marcus Smart, how the egos haven't taken over. Look at how they've dealt with injuries. Look at how they've dealt with, the whole Kelly Olynyk thing could have gone sour after the whole Kevin Love thing, I mean, in different ways. He comes across as one of those coaches that you could literally give him anyone. I mean, I kind of liken him to how when Doc Rivers took the Orlando Magic back in, I think, 2001 to the finals, to the playoffs. And, you looked at that team, you're like, these guys don't really belong. And I think if you'd give this team an average coach, I think you're looking at the lottery. I think right then and there, that explanation deserves him Coach of the Year, or really close to.
Last question, Justin. I'm going to throw this out there. I think it's highly unlikely, but Is there any possibility at all that Kevin Durant goes to Boston this summer?
I'd say there's a possibility. We haven't really seen free agents go to Boston for various reasons in the past, but this is one of the first times that they really have had the cap space to bring someone in like that. I can see them making a big pitch to a guy like Al Horford, who they pursued at the deadline. If they're able to bring in Horford or maybe Kevin Love, that might strengthen their pitch, because they really do have a lot of strong role guys, and you would just wonder how much better they could be if they do get that star or two to kind of smooth things along and take them to that next level. So I wouldn't rule it out. I certainly wouldn't say Boston's the favorite for that, but they should be considered, in my opinion, by Durant.